where are you drafting Jameis Winston? If
not in the first or second round. I don't care what the grade is. Not first or third or below, I'd take the risk. Here's the thing. I don't think Jameis Winston is a leader. I think he's persuasive. There's a difference. A leader will hold his teammates to accountability and then hold himself to the same or higher standards. And Jameis seems to be in his teammates' face, but then holding himself to a completely different standard off the field. And you can get away with that in college. But in the NFL, I played with guys that will not put up with that. I mean, he'll get into some of those grizzled veterans' face and try to tell them what they need to be doing. And if he hasn't earned the right yet, he'll be eating strained peas for a month. So this is the kind of thing that plays differently in an NFL locker room than it does with a bunch of college kids.
And ultimately, they've got their man. It's Pat Narduzzi, former Broyles Award winner, assistant coach of the year a year ago. What do you think of the hire?
If it comes through,
yeah,
love the hire because it's a fantastic match of culture. There's nothing flashy and fashionable about Pat Narduzzi. He's just an old school, grind it out, work hard and like it kind of tough guy. Now look at the culture in Pittsburgh and in Western Pennsylvania in that area. Yeah. Right. Zubin, they're steel workers, they're miners, and their fathers were tough, their grandfathers were tough, their moms are tough, right? They all understand what it means to grind and to work, and they relish that. And when he is recruiting in those living rooms, the parents and the grandparents will absolutely understand what Pat Narduzzi says.
Now, what's interesting is you spent some time this offseason with Narduzzi. I think everybody likes to flock to East Lansing to figure out exactly how he was putting together those defenses. So kind of take me inside your meeting with them and give me some insight into it.
Well, I spent a good amount of time in his office talking football. We watched some tape, but we didn't watch tape until later in our conversation because it was all about toughness. It was how you build a team. And Zubin, one of the things that really stood out that we talked about was how they will hit hard in practice all the way through bowl week. They will hit their own quarterbacks hard in practice, with the exception of their starter. You don't hit Connor Cook in practice if he's the established starter. But they would hit those guys hard in spring ball when they're still going for that job. They're still competing for it. And I asked him, I said, you know, most teams are really dialing back the physical contact, the hard hitting later in the season, and especially into bowl week. What do you think about people that say that that's too much contact? And he looked at me, and this is what he said.
Okay.
Some people are just soft.
Wow.
And I believed him. I believed him. It was fantastic.
Pretty blunt.
And it was one of those moments where, you know, there are people that they're gentle.
Yeah.
You know, in football seems they'll watch it, but they don't want to know how it's done.
Right.
The way this guy does it is old school. It's tough. It's hard. And if you're that player, you will excel under Pat Narduzzi.
Well, you think the linebackers for Utah are actually a key to the game and getting Cody Kessler?
Well, yeah, the whole defense plays like their coach, Kyle Whittingham, did when he was a player. And when you talk about linebackers, nobody exemplifies it more than Jared Norris. This guy, one of the most underrated defenders in the entire Pac-12, and it starts with violence. Just like his coach, he sees a pile, no clear target, so he blasts the whole pile. That's how Kyle did it. And by the way, angry much? But it's not just violence, it's smart. His assignment here, this is Norris again, is to go around the edge. But his technique is to take this path because you don't just bum rush a quarterback on a blitz. The reason for that is to affect the protection. Now, the replay shows why it's important. The right guard, number 61, is focused on Norris coming right at him. He doesn't see to his right the danger getting picked by that defensive end. Kyle Whittingham played that kind of smart football as well, and you see it in his team. And then there's just pure mayhem. I mean, the great thing about this play is not the hit, although that's a pretty good hit. Let's see it again. Oh, yeah, that's nice. The great thing is how he's got to put himself back together after the play. He doesn't really care about the jersey much, but the shoulder pads are all kind of crooked. Let's fix those. And his helmet's not on straight. All right, good. Now ready for the next play. Ha! Well, that's what Kyle Whittingham did. That's how he played, and that's how his defense plays. And USC will face a Utah defense that leads the nation in sacks and tackles for loss. They are very aggressive, just like their coach. Feel bad for that linebacker.
Man has a family. Oh. And then 48 yards goes Castleman, the paint flying off the helmet. Oh. You know, fleet of foot. He said his check engine light came on as soon as he got hit.
Yeah, that's part of it, too. I mean, you also look around for someone to please stop me. I can't run any farther. I would rather you tackle me than have to just stop and take a knee.
Trevor was telling me that the first touchdown he ever caught, it didn't happen in college, didn't happen in high school, in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it was kind of important, too.
Yeah, no, it was a game winner against my old team. I was playing for the Jets. I was with the Patriots before that. There was less than a minute to go in the game. It was the game-winning touchdown. And I was at tight end number 46. So I wasn't just a short yardage tight end. I was playing tight end. But I was the last option on this play-action pass. And when I got to the back of the end zone, it was different from practice. Because in practice, the defense goes slow. Everyone was around me. In the game, everybody went fast. Everyone was around the primary receivers. And I looked at the quarterback, Ken O'Brien, and he looked at me. I was the only guy open. And he was like, no way. But he was about to get hit, so he threw the ball. And I've got to tell you this, that I've always wondered if it looks really slow motion or if it goes fast motion. That ball took 3 days to get to me. I caught it with my hands. I didn't have to tiptoe in the back of the end zone, but I did anyway.
And it sits where now?
It sits at home in my garage in a box. But one day I'll put it up on the shelf.
I always wondered, you were talking about, Randy was saying, you know, the sturdy guys. When a sturdy guy catches a touchdown, and you prove, these were Randy's descriptions.
Sturdy.
When a sturdy guy catches a touchdown, after that game that you caught it, do you go the next week, or you're like, I mean, I can catch touchdowns. J.J. Watt does it, you know.
They threw me 3 more passes, or 2 more passes. Neither one was a touchdown, but I caught them both.
You caught them?
I thought that I would be liberated. I thought that they would leave my number at 46, and I would be this liberated, run down the field, you know, eagle for the rest of my career.
Right.
Nah, I was back to 64, back in the trenches.
They would have built a statue, but, you know, not enough metal. The whole thing. 298
Not enough metal.
No, it is, you know.
Sarah, smack him.
Sturdy guys can have statues,
Husky,
Randy.
of course they can.
No, listen.
Get that ball out of the box,
What
Trevor.
we are is powerful.
Darn right.
And that's the thing. This is the overriding theme of all these guys that had the ball in their hand. They were desperate for someone to stand in front of them.
Yeah,
some of them got the opportunity, and some of them nobody dared.
He retired with a 100% reception percentage in the NFL. Trevor Matich on SportsCenter.
You go stand in front of him.
This is true.
The Big 12, we only have 10 teams and no true champion. You know who else has a split personality? Trevor Matich.
Okay, for us Bears, it comes down to 3 words. Head to head. We beat TCU, face to face, mano a mano. We beat you. Wait a minute. Hold up, Baylor. How many games in a football season? Since you Bears only have 4 paws, I'll help you out. There's 12. That's why they call it complete body of work, fuzzball. Hey, body of work, that's to separate teams that didn't play head-to-head. We have the same record in the same conference. And since frogs have tiny little brains, let me remind you one more time. We beat you. Listen, man, we went to your place. 119 total points scored, and we lost by just 3. The way I see it, on a neutral field, that's a wash at best. Cry a river, pond frog. We have to go to your place next year. You going to spot us a field goal then? Well, no. I don't want to live in a world where your win over Minnesota trumps our win over you. Hey, Yogi, you already live in that world. We're number 3. You're number 6. And we have something you don't, a win over Kansas State. Well, when we beat Kansas State today, you just hop on back to the pond. Roll that up in your lily pad and smoke it. Dude, not cool. We are not that kind of frog. We're horned frogs. Talk to the hand.
Favorite thing ever.
Sad face.
Sad face.
TCU's offense has come alive this year, Trevor, averaging 48 points per game. That's second in the FBS. What's been the key to their success?
Well, quarterback Trevon Boykin is a better quarterback this year, and partly it's because last year he spent half his time at wide receiver. He doesn't need receivers to tell him what they need. He lived it himself, and you can see that in his game. Let's go back to last year and take a look at Boykin as a receiver. He'll run a typical crossing route over the middle, a dangerous crossing route, but the ball will come out late and it will come out high. Now, what do you suppose is going to happen now? Yeah, this is ugly. And wow, it's a big hit. And when you're a quarterback, you might think that this is just part of the game. The receiver should just toughen up and take it. But when you're the guy exposed to that, you'd be thinking, you know what, when I go back to quarterback, I will protect my guys better. So this year, Boykin at quarterback, he's got a receiver going over the middle, but he protects his receiver. Instead of throwing it late and throwing it high, he throws it on time and he keeps it down. So his receiver has a chance to protect himself, and that safety doesn't have exposed ribs to jack up. Now, another thing that he knows receivers wants from doing it is to get the ball there in time for him to make a play. Last year, Boykin at receiver. He'll turn around to be ready for the ball right now, but look at the quarterback. Hasn't even started his throwing motion yet. The defender is starting to rally. And so even though it's a completion, Boykin has no chance to use his skills after the catch. This season, at quarterback, bottom of the screen, Boykin has the exact same route on 3rd and 12. Exact same situation. Receiver's ready for the ball. Defender is ready to rally. But there's one difference. The ball's already in the air. So on 3rd and 12, instead of being tackled short, he has a chance to convert it and draw a penalty. One of the reasons Boykin is so good this year is because of that knowledge. And the fact that he's so good means Kansas State will have a tall order to stop this offense.
And not everybody has that in that repertoire where they, I played receiver last year, I'm good with that. It is a huge showdown, 6 versus 7. Before we let you go, Trevor, because Kevin teased this, you've talked to us before about what it's like to eat dirt. What did you tell me, the positive about eating dirt?
When you win, dirt tastes like victory. When you lose, tastes like dirt.